can start.
Yep. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, August 14th, 2023. The time now is 6:01, and I will call to order this regular meeting of the Town Board of Trustees. In accordance with the town's remote participation and remote meeting policy adopted by the Board of Trustees on March 13th, 2023, by resolution number 21-R-2023, today's regular meeting will be
recording in progress.
Will be conducted at a remote meeting due to the construction of the boardroom. I'd like to remind everyone present, both in person and virtually, of the town's general guidelines for public comment at open meetings and public hearings. Copies of the guidelines are available online. There are 2 public comment opportunities on the agenda for you to address the board on any subject, whether it is on the agenda or not. In addition, there will be an opportunity to address the board about the public hearing item during that portion of the meeting. Mary, roll call, please.
Mayor Whitlow.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright.
Here.
Trustee Adams.
Here.
Trustee Broadhead.
Here.
Trustee Harris.
Here.
Trustee Parr.
Here.
Trustee Schranz.
Here.
Mayor Whitlow, today is Monday, August 14th, 2023, and you do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Let us take a moment of silence to slow down and reflect on the students returning to school, the teachers and school staff that educate and care for them, and for our SROs who work to keep them all safe. Thank you very much for your time. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is review and approve agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda this evening? May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
I second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Harris.
Yes.
Trustee Adams.
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright.
Yes.
Trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Parr.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have an agenda for this evening. Next is our staff report by our town manager. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, trustees. You have my report. I do want to highlight a few items and bring you up to speed. The boardroom will be done. They are doing testing today. There's just a few more pieces that have to go on top, but we will be having court on Thursday in the new boardroom. So we are very excited. I do think we may have a few bugs to iron out on some of the telemetry as we go through it. Mary was working with them today on positioning cameras, so hopefully everything goes well, but typically when you have that, there's always something that we find. So please bear with us on that. Dr. Haddad will be visiting us at our next meeting on the 28th. So we'll have a work session with him starting at 5:30. He wanted to come and bring the board up to speed on happenings in the school, and I'm sure there are questions you may have for him as well. So we're excited to have that happen. I wanted to point out that there's a lot of road work going on all over the place, and sometimes it's confused with our projects and development projects. And one that's particularly vexing, I'm sure, for Erica, is that the Sereno subdivision had to do quite a bit of warranty repairs. There are things that, they have to finish to get the project completely done. And they sent out a note to the residents saying that it was a town project, and if there were any concerns, to get a hold of the public works staff. So that didn't go real well for for the public works people to have that. So I just wanted to make you aware that there are things going on. For example, if you saw a lot of work at the intersection of County Road 7 and 66, they were potholing, drilling holes into the earth to do their materials analysis for the signal that's going to be going in there, that CDOT project. a lot of times you see things going on, you see cranes, you see drilling machines, and it's hard to know what's what. But I did just wanna make you aware of that if you got any calls from residents complaining about something going on in Sorrento, that actually isn't our project. But, just to be clear, and I will probably say this every time we get together, we are rounding third and heading for home on the intersection project. It'll be going out to bid in October. Erica's been working diligently. There are so many details that have to be done, like moving utilities, and we've been working with Little Thompson, and she negotiated a great deal with them to move the vault out of the right of way. So many details. Property acquisition that we're going through. Just remember, it will be a living hell when it starts, because we're gonna have to route traffic into residential neighborhoods because there's nowhere else to put it. So, I will say it, and then you will be calling me, and residents will be upset, and we know how tough it's gonna be, but I can't say it enough. And I say it repeatedly on the off chance that somebody's listening, because, it will be very difficult. You know, we'll be digging up the road and there'll be nowhere for people to go. We try to do everything we can in the summer so that we can keep the school buses going and the children going to school, but I just wanna preface it with that so that, you aren't totally blindsided by it when it comes. But a big shout out to Erica for the work that has gone into this, like a 2-year design effort. And it believe me, it doesn't escape me, because she has been working her tail off and doing a fantastic job. So remember that when you start getting those calls when the construction begins. And that's all I have to add to my report.
All right, any questions? Go ahead, Joseph.
I have a question, not necessarily about your report, but something that I saw that I wanted to ask you and or Colleen about. So there was an article about U.S. Department of Transportation approves $501 million loan for I-25 Express Lane expansion in Colorado. I'm super confused because this was just published the other day, and they're talking about express lanes all the way from Denver to Fort Collins, but they're already there. I don't understand, since you guys are both really into the transportation thing, thought maybe you could explain to me, because I'm super confused. The express lanes are already there. Are they talking about adding a 4th lane? What is this $501 million for?
I mean, I can't speak to the article that you saw because I didn't see it, but from what I understand, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, they approved the ability for the state to borrow this money, this $500 million. $350 million or $375 is needed for our segment, but there are still pieces that haven't been done. Like, for example, when you get south of 66, you've got 3 lanes, but you don't have an express toll lane there. So they have to connect where they end in downtown Denver, wherever that is, 138th or wherever the end of it is, and they have to connect the toll roads to the segments here in northern Colorado, because there's a gap. Segment 4,
So they're not talking about,
segment 3.
because our 3rd lane is gonna be an express lane. But yeah, once you hit 66, the 3rd lane is a regular lane, and they're not gonna convert one of those to an express. You're saying they would have to add a 4th, potentially add a 4th
Yes, or,
lane?
I mean, every time we ask it, they sort of hedge their bets. There are
Okay.
some very complicated areas. One of the most complicated is, you know where you turn off to go to the airport?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that area, to get that all connected with this toll lane is really complicated because of if you see where everything's going off in a different direction. So that $501 million, from what I would say, is simply the borrowing power.
Okay.
Now, what is in your packet today is another opportunity, and that's the county's putting in for a $100 million grant. Also
Right.
for the toll lane projects. But what it would do, if it's gotten, it would go as hard money on our $350 million, and it would free up 100 of that to move towards those other toll lanes. You have to look at it in its entirety, which is basically from south or north of Colorado Springs to Mulberry in Fort Collins. That is gonna be the ultimate tolling length. So
Okay.
there's segments that are unfunded, that those
Right.
segment 4, which is the next one that is just south of 66, that has no funding yet. So that ability to borrow the money, I believe, is all leveraging these dollars to try to complete the entire project.
Okay.
I mean, is
I
that
mean, the
how?
only thing I wanna add to that would be segment 6, 7, and 8. Their tolling is going to happen all at once, instead of 6 and then off, and then 7, you know.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what they're planning to do in fall is to turn 6, 7, and 8 on for tolling. That will bring in some of that revenue to help segment 5 and 4 and maintenance and so on and so on.
Okay.
So that, I just wanted to add that to it,
Mhm.
because that's pretty important to know if you're going that way, that you don't have to get on and off, on and off. But I think that the free toll will be there for a while, so I just wanted to know too,
Okay.
yeah.
But
But we're,
just a curiosity, I read that and kinda went, huh?
and different segments of
two would
different
know.
funding mechanisms are coming together, we're still going after grants and some other major stuff, so, good question though, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a
So
good
you
question.
you should always send that article to us so we can know
Sure.
what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
I'll send you the link.
Anything else, board? Trustee Adams, do you have any questions or comments for Helen's report?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, we'll move on to our informational item tonight by our Public Information Officer, Community Engagement Director, Lorelei Nelson, on our community engagement update.
Hi.
This will be the last time you have to turn like this to do your presentation.
Looking forward to it.
For those with us, virtually, we're trying to pull up the, presentation on the screen.
Alright. Thank you. So I'm just gonna do a recap, and kind of where we're at in 2023. So as you know, we launched Civic Rec, back in April. And so, right now, we are full on, all of our rentals, our park rentals and our programming is through Civic Rec. It was a fairly smooth transition. We did not have a lot of bumps on the road, so that was really good. A lot of prep work went into that, so, kudos to Caitlin specifically, who helped, pull us into that for the Civic Rec and notifying all the parents, that this transition was coming. It made it very easy. Also on Civic Rec, we list out all of our community events, so it's kind of a one-stop shop for everything that's going on in the town, community-wise. This summer, we did baseball, and we had 12 teams. We did field rentals in Berthoud, and that went very well as well. We rented 2 fields over there, and they had them lined and prepped for us, for game days. It shortened our day significantly. Last year, we were going until sometimes 4 or 5 in the evening, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning, on one field, so this helped expedite those games. And like I said, Berthoud, has very nice baseball fields. Not a lot of issues with parents. There were a couple that were frustrated, they were having to drive, but a lot of our programs, we partner with other communities, so we felt like that was a good, transition for this year. This fall, we have volleyball and soccer. Volleyball will be partnering with Carbon Valley Parks and Recreation District. We are looking to do games in both Carbon Valley and Mead. Soccer, we're still taking registration for, and that will be an in-house soccer program at Liberty Grant. Winter basketball is a little bit different this year. Previously, Carbon Valley had partnered with some other organizations. We had partnered with other organizations. And this year, we decided to come together, because we are, really working well with, volleyball. We decided to do that for basketball. So that's how we will be doing basketball this winter. Other programming, we have Girls on the Run scheduled for, this fall in September, October, and November. And we have our older active adult programming, which is our lunch, bunch, and bingo at the Merc. We have our monthly luncheons, where we go to a different restaurant in Longmont. They also do trips occasionally. Next month, they're going to Pizza and a Movie in Longmont, so this has been really well received. And then we have our weekly, functional fitness at Anytime Fitness. Looks like it froze. We will continue on. So going into community events, just kind of a recap, we had Rockin' and Reelin' this, summer. We had moved that to Friday nights. It seemed to work out well. We had one, weather-related cancellation, which was unfortunately our first one. But we managed to pull in a rough attendance of about 100 people per event. Which is pretty good for concerts and an uptick for movies specifically. So I think changing that to Friday nights really worked out well. Unfortunately, our other severe weather cancellation was National Night Out, which is very disappointing. We had a lot of fun things planned, but you can't fight weather. So coming up, we have our Community Day, and we're back on, and Homecoming Day, or Community Day and Homecoming Parade. The Homecoming / Community Day Parade will be on Friday, September 8th, and then Community Day will be on September 9th. Right now we have 19 participants in the parade. We have upwards of 44 vendors for Community Day. So overall, I think it's gonna be a well-attended event. We have, the town will have 2 booths there. We're gonna do a info booth for the pedestrian crossing and the community center. We're gonna have cornhole, beverage garden, Grandview will be out there with all their wares. We have a rock wall, a hamster ball track, so you get in the ball and like compete against people. And then we have a mechanical bull coming. So, hope to see you all out there for that. And then we have 2 great headliners this year for community event concert. We'll have Hazel Miller in the collective, and then Brian White. So we're excited. We're hoping, fingers crossed, good weather, and we can get this one off. And then, in other news, we have our Built for Mead. I wanted to kind of touch in with where we are on that. You'll have a folder there. This is part of our promotional materials that we're getting together.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
We do.
So this is a folder that we would give out to potential businesses that are interested in a new business or relocating their business to Mead. We have other promotional materials as well, to trifold handouts and brochures to give out. This is the one that would go to interested parties for Mead. We plan on kicking this off at Unity in the community on August 25th. We'll have a Built for Mead booth out there with our promo materials, kind of hopefully gather some interest in businesses moving to Mead, at least getting people onto the website, seeing what we have to offer. As far as the website, we are adding more pages to that. We're gonna do a blog and news release page on that, as well as a business directory. And then we are working on interviews towards the end of this month and early September. Right now we have confirmed Dean Brown with Access 25, and then Redemption Road Coffee, and there's several others that are in the queue for additional business videos. So we created a logo for Built for Mead, and so we're all kind of bringing it together and continue to push this out. And we have our last meet, greet, and eat, August 29th at Liberty Ranch. As far as outreach, we've also, picked up for the 1% sales and use tax. So I've been working with, Erica's team to get temporary road signs put out when we're actually, doing road work, with the 1% sales tax at work. I've also been working with Erica's team with postcards that'll go out. Specifically, the one going out in a few weeks is, directed towards North Creek. Just saying, this is the work that's gonna be done, and this is the 1% sales and use tax at work. And we're also getting a sign to promote the community center. We'll have a pretty sign with a new design.
Alright, thank
Any
you very much.
questions?
Questions, comments? Trustee Adams, do you have any questions or comments from the presentation by Lorelei?
He does.
Alright, thank you.
Alright, we'll move along to our proclamation tonight, School Zone Safety Week. I've asked Trustee Broadhead to read the proclamation tonight.
Proclamation, School Zone Safety Week, August 13th through August 19th, 2023. Whereas the town of Mead is a community that embraces and values safety, and whereas the end of summer is approaching and our children, grandchildren, friends, and neighbors are going back to school, making it more important than ever to practice safe driving in school zones. And whereas, according to a recent study by Safe Kids Worldwide, approximately 100 children in the United States are killed every year while walking to or from school, and 25,000 others sustain injuries because of school zone crashes. And whereas driving through a school zone can be dangerous for both pedestrians and drivers if safety isn't a priority. Avoid cell phones and distractions. Adjust your route to avoid school zones if possible. And whereas if you must drive through a school zone, give yourself extra time. Slow down when school zone flashers are blinking, and stop and yield to pedestrians crossing the crosswalk or intersection. Whereas the town of Mead seeks to cultivate the importance of safe driving, encouraging drivers to always operate their vehicles with the utmost care and concern. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees that August 13th through 19th, 2023 is recognized as School Zone Safety Week in the town of Mead, given under the hand and seal of the town of Mead, Colorado, on this 14th day of August, 2023.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the signing of the proclamation?
I move to approve the signing of the proclamation. Second.
Thank you. Roll call please, Mary.
Trustee Park,
Yes.
Trustee Shranz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright,
Yes.
Trustee Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead,
Yes.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. And everybody slow down. There you go. Speech for the night. Slow down. All right, we'll go on to our first public comment, period for the night. The board welcomes public comment for any item, whether it is on the agenda or not. The board will listen to your comments and take them into consideration. If you desire a conversation, please email the board or the town manager, or attend a monthly coffee with the mayor. If you wish to speak during the public comment period, please adhere to the town's general guidelines. Please start by stating your full name and address for the record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the Board of Trustees. If you are representing a group, you will have 5 minutes. If you wish to address the board, please indicate by raising your hand now. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our consent agenda for the night. Consent agenda contains items which are considered routine and are approved with one motion and vote. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Thank you. Roll call please, Mary.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
Trustee Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright,
Yes.
Trustee Shranz,
Yes.
Trustee Park?
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow?
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries. Thank you, staff, for putting the consent agenda, for the board tonight. Next, we'll move on to our public hearing. The public hearing tonight is regarding Buffalo Highlands Metropolitan District. We will hear first from staff, and then the applicant will be given an opportunity to present. And then we will seek input from the public before the board considers the resolution. The time now is 6:26, and I will open the public hearing and turn over the microphone to our town attorney, Marcus McCaskey.
Thank you, Mayor Whitlow, and members of the Board of Trustees. As you just noted, this is a public hearing item this evening for the board's consideration of the service plans that have been filed for the Buffalo Highlands Metropolitan Districts numbers 1 through 3. The applicant or proponent of these districts are proposing the creation of 3 districts, one of which will be formed to provide financing for future commercial development within the boundaries of the project. Districts 2 and 3 are proposed to provide financing for improvements associated with future residential development. I would just like to remind the board quickly that obviously this relates to the Buffalo Highlands project, which was recently considered by the board for annexation back in June. Ordinance number 1040, which was considered by the board and approved on June 12th of 2023, annexed the Buffalo Highlands property into the boundaries of Mead. The property consists of roughly 278 acres. All of the filings that are required by both the Municipal Annexation Act of 1965 and Town Code have been completed. So this property is now located within the boundaries of Mead, and you do have jurisdiction to consider the service plans at the hearing this evening. I would also note that in accordance with specific code requirements, specifically section 12.240 of the Mead Municipal Code, the applicants and proponents of these districts have caused the notice of this evening's public hearing to be published, and also have mailed notice to those parties that are required to receive the notice of public hearing, a certificate evidencing that those notice requirements have been satisfied is on file with the town clerk. So again, you do have jurisdiction this evening to proceed. I would like to just, as a preliminary matter, note that we are joined by, I believe, a total of 4 folks that should be participating via Zoom tonight. They would have been here in person, but as you know, this is the last meeting that we're conducting while the room downstairs is under construction. So I believe we have both Audrey Johnson and Jennifer Gruber Tanaka on. They are both attorneys with the firm of White Bear, Ankley, Tanaka, and Waldron. That's the law firm that has been working with the property owner and the applicant to finalize and submit the service plans. We also have Mr. Matt Hengel with Westside Investment and BAS 2020 LLC. That's the current property owner of record. And we also have Katie McVeigh. Katie is with Piper Sandler, which is the bond underwriter or the investment group that has been working with the applicant proponent to finalize the financial plan that is attached as an exhibit to each of the service plans. So there is an agenda item summary that is included in your board packet. I believe that it begins on page 51 of the packet that you have in front of you tonight. On page 3 of that staff report, or page 53 of the packet, we do note that the Board of Trustees must consider the following in making a determination on a proposed service plan. Number 1, the criteria set forth in state law, specifically CRS section 32.1.2032. Those are criteria that I believe the applicants will be addressing or will go into some level of detail in their presentation that they have for you this evening. Number 2 is whether the proposed service plans are in substantial compliance with the town's model service plan. We have made a determination that the service plans that have been submitted are in compliance with the town's model service plan. And lastly, whether the proposed service plan satisfies the requirements of section 12.220B of the municipal code. There are a total of 11 factors or criteria that are analyzed in accordance with that code section. There is a detailed finding with respect to each of those criteria in the staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have related to those criteria, but again, we have made a determination that those criteria have been satisfied in this case. At this point, I think it's probably, I'm happy to answer any questions you have for me before we turn it over to the applicant team, but I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Audrey Johnson is probably going to be going through the applicant's PowerPoint presentation. If that's not correct, let me know. But let me maybe pause there and see if there's any questions for me, and we'll turn it over to the applicant team for their presentation. And of course, I'll be available to answer any questions either during their presentation or at the end before the board goes into discussion and deliberation on this matter.
Do you have any questions for?
That's it.
Okay, all right. Ms. Johnson, can you hear us?
Yes,
Okay.
can everyone hear me okay?
Thank you for joining us far away.
Great, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Yep. Go ahead.
So first of all, we would just like to thank town staff for their help and in providing the service plans for you today. And then I actually am not sure, are you able to see the presentation at this time, or is that something that I need to put up on my screen?
We were gonna have you share your screen.
Okay, wonderful. Is everyone able to see that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So thank you again. Tonight we have a presentation for the proposed Buffalo Highlands Metropolitan District numbers 1 through 3. I am here, my name is Audrey Johnson, and I work for White Bear, Ankley, Tanaka, and Waldron. And we will just dive right into it. So Marcus, of course, provided some background on the end project information. So just quickly again, here is an image of the project site, which will be familiar to you as it was recently annexed into the town. There is currently no development in the project area. And of course, district number 1 intends to be an entirely commercial site, and district numbers 2 and 3 will be a residential community. So for the planned development within the district, again, district number 1, this number is a little off. There's actually 64 acres in district number 1, which plans to be commercial. And then district numbers 2 and 3 have a combined area of 213 acres, which will be residential. The public improvements planned for the area include interior roads, water, sewer, drainage, open space, and parks. So these are included in the service plan. Metropolitan districts in the state of Colorado, of course, must abide by Title 32 of the Colorado Revised Statutes. And then the service plans before you, we of course worked with town staff to ensure that they are in substantial compliance with the town's model service plan. We always like to bring up the benefits of metropolitan districts and say that growth pays its own way. And what we mean by that is that districts are able to fill the void. So where no other public entity is able to fund the public improvements necessary for development, districts can step in and provide access to financing. Of course, that financing is beneficial because it's low cost, tax exempt, and will allow the construction of the public improvements necessary to serve the districts. Districts also provide a proportionate benefit as property owners will pay for the improvements over a period of time for however long that they own property within the districts. Diving more into the financial information. So the cost of public improvements for district number 1 will be a little over $21 million. For district numbers 2 and 3, it's a little over $80 million. And then any improvements for the project not funded by the district will of course remain the developer's responsibility to finance. And the town is not responsible for the cost of improvements funded by the district, any debt issued by the district, or the developer's cost of development. These items in the financial plan will seem familiar to you, of course, because they come from the district's model, or the town's model service plan. So the debt capacity mirrors the estimated cost of the improvements. Again, those numbers are the same as you just saw for district number 1, a little over 21 million, and for district numbers 2 and 3, a little over 80 million. And then the limitations on district debt, again, from the model service plan, an aggregate mill levy of about 55 mills, between the debt service of 45 and operations of 10, and then the town O&M mill levy of 3 mills. For debt parameters, the service plan also includes a maximum interest rate of 12%, underwriting fee of 4%, term of 30 years, and then the requirement that an approved development plan must be in place. For additional safeguards around districts, and we like to point out that there are transparency requirements. There must be disclosure notices to any purchasers of property within the district. And of course, there's also an annual report requirement for the town. For reimbursement limits, there's the third-party certification and the developer debt restrictions with a max interest rate of the prime rate index plus 3%. And then as we enter into the new world of the website disclosures, which I personally think is a wonderful way of accessing more information for districts. Districts now post notices, election information, documents and records, contact information, debt, mill levy information, all available online shortly after the districts are organized. And overall, that's the presentation that we have for you today. Are there any questions or comments?
Ms. Johnson, thank you very much for your presentation, and I'm going to ask if there's any public comment, and then we'll ask the trustees for questions or comments to you or to Mr. McCaskill. So I will ask if there's any public that would like to speak on this matter, or request that you please adhere to the public adhering guidelines. I don't see anyone online that's with us to participate tonight, so I will ask the trustees for questions or comments to the applicant and or to our town attorney. Okay. Trustee Adams, do you have any questions or comments for Ms. Johnson or our town attorney?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Ms. Johnson, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I'll be asking for a motion regarding this resolution for tonight, and then if there's any other discussion, we'll open it then. So is there a motion regarding resolution number 57-R-2023?
I move to approve resolution number 57-R-2023, a resolution of the town of Mead, Colorado, approving with conditions the service plans for Buffalo Highlands Metropolitan District number 1 and Buffalo Highlands Metropolitan District number 2 and 3. And authorizing execution of the intergovernmental agreement between the town and the districts.
Second.
Thank you very much. Is there any other discussion? Okay.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I just wanna make sure that when people are purchasing the land and where the house is gonna be built, that they do definitely disclose that there's a metro district. There's so many people that make comments that they didn't know. They need to make sure that it's definitely stated. Okay?
Thank you. All right, roll call please, Mary.
Trustee Adams. Trustee Adams?
Yes.
He's coming
Thank
up the
you.
stairs.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright?
Yes.
Trustee Strands?
Yes.
Trustee Parr?
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you very much for your time tonight, everyone that's with us for this public hearing. And thank you for the applicant for preparing your presentation for us tonight. And thank you, Town Attorney, for introducing this for us. All right. I will now close the public hearing, and the time is 6:41, and we'll move on to our second public comment. And I don't see anybody with us unless somebody wants to state anything for the room. Please note that trustee Adams came into the meeting. Alright, we'll move on to our elected official reports. Any of the town trustees would like to say anything?
I would.
Okay, sure.
I wanted to thank Erica and Public Works for giving me a tour and showing me around so I kind of knew what I was doing, and Chief and the police department for once again let me go on a ride along and see what's going on in town, and Jason for explaining me how things work when a developer comes, because I had no idea. Taking time out of their days just to explain it so I can kind of understand it better, so when someone says something I go, oh, okay, that makes more sense now. So thank you so much for doing that for me the last couple weeks. And then Helen for explaining me when I'm wrong on things. She's very good at making sure that when I do something wrong, she corrects me so I don't do it again. So that has been very helpful. And that's it.
Welcome to 101. Go ahead.
I've been going to senior lunches, so, I'm glad that you're gonna have a booth about the community center, cause they keep asking me about the community center. So I will let them know the next time I go, if it's before community days, that they need to go to the park and get some information. That's up to date. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I just wanted to say that Coffee with the Mayor was like extraordinarily exciting, and I wanted to say, Chief, thank you, and Caitlin, thank you, and of course Mary for the great coffee, and our new community service officer for joining us that morning. It just went very swimmingly well. So thank you all for your time on a Saturday. I know it's taking away from your family, so thank you very much. I really do appreciate your time. I actually attended the 2023 convocation, never been to one, at the school district last week, and I've never seen a couple hundred teachers get so enthusiastic about being teachers. And so Dr. Haddad did a presentation for about 45 minutes in front of all the teachers and the principals of all the schools, and it was held at the Skyline Vance Brand Auditorium, which was full, and was recognized for being a supporter of the school system. So I just wanted to say that it was a very eye-opening experience to be with so many teachers and so much enthusiasm for our kids. So I just want to point that out. And I wanted to do one more thing tonight. I want to congratulate two trustees that have achieved, what do you call this? Achievement to present to both trustee Adams and trustee Schramms for their work on being, what's it called, sentimental level for the university for CML. So I wanted to make sure that you got this tonight. So sir, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And here's your certificate. All right. There you go, Robert. All right. Now you're welcome. All right. So both Trustee Broadhead and I have graduated, and I hope that you all continue to go down that path, because you learn a lot during the time that you're an elected official. So thank you very much for that. So I just want to say thank you for you all to be here, and we're going to go into an executive session, and we're going to kick most of you out of here. And for those who with us, we're going to leave here in a minute, and we're going to ask for a motion to go into executive session, and then we'll be back to close out the night. But I wanted to see if there's a motion to go into executive session tonight.
I will move to go into executive session pursuant to CRS section 24-6-4024B and 4024E to discuss pending threatened litigation, to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations and instructing negotiations, and to receive legal advice on specific legal questions related to same.
Second.
Okay. All right, roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Park,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright,
Yes.
Trustee Schranz,
Yes.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Motion carries. The time now is 6:45, and we will turn off the recording and adjourn to an executive session. The recording will be restarted for the executive session, and this portion of the meeting is not open to the public. So thank you very much, and we'll give it a couple minutes.
Recording stopped.
Thank you.
And close it out.